Welcome back to another edition of Arizona Wildcats Insiders Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison. Arizona is in the middle of its bye week. The Wildcats are entering the bye week. Kind of an underwhelming, disappointing feeling right now. Losers of two straight. The BYU game where the Wildcats were up by 10 points in the fourth quarter, 24-14, and saw it slip away as the Cougars tied it up with 19 seconds left. Forced the game into overtime, went into double overtime after an exchange of field goals where Arizona had a touchdown call back due to a holding call. They had to settle for a field goal. Goes to the next overtime. They can't stop BYU. They can't score. The Wildcats lose 33-27 in heartbreaking fashion. Now, the following week, they go on the road to Houston for a 9 a.m. kickoff. It was the first time the Wildcats had a 9 a.m. kickoff since they played Houston in Kevin Sumlin's first year as head coach. In that game, the Wildcats got slaughtered. They were down 21-0 early. This past Saturday, Arizona jumped out to a 14-7 lead. The offense was clicking, rolling, and then it stalled out. There was a play on fourth and one, I think at the 30 or 25-yard line, something like that. Where Arizona decided to go for it. And I don't blame them. Instead of making it 17-7, you're trying to go for it, get a touchdown. All of a sudden, it's 21-7. You have full momentum. Unfortunately, Noah Fafita made the wrong read. He should have pulled instead of giving it to Kedrick Reesano on the 1-yard run where Kedrick got stuffed. Momentum. Houston goes to score 14 unanswered points, and boom, just like that, entering the fourth quarter, it's the Houston Cougars with the 21-14 lead. They open up the second half with nearly a 10-minute plus drive. I mean, it was insane. It was about an 8 to 9 minute plus drive where they ate up clock. They ran the ball. They shoved it up Arizona's butts. They shoved it down their throats. They couldn't stop them. And it was all run. They scored 28-14, and it looks bleak. However, the Wildcats battled back. They were able to get back into the game, scoring 2 unanswered touchdowns, 28-28, but they left 4 minutes and 50-something seconds left. And with the way Houston was running the ball, that was not good for Arizona. That was not a recipe for success because the Cougars rushed for 232 yards. Over the last two games, Arizona's allowed 290-plus yards. 490-plus yards. And Houston did what they did all game. They ran it with their quarterback, Whitman, and their running back, Connors. They just ran it down Arizona's throat. Nothing fancy, nothing on the outside, nothing reverse, nothing counter, just straight power football. And they ran it right down their throats. Got in field goal range. There was a flag that should have been a legal motion that got picked up. It's one of the worst flag pickups ever because he was clearly in motion. I don't know how you pick up the flag, and it leaves Houston in field goal range. So instead of a 50-plus yarder, where the kicker for Houston already missed a 48, you're set up with a 41-yarder, and it goes right down the pipe. Arizona loses 31-28, second straight loss, sitting at 4-3. And now you had the pressure of the fan base on the program, on the athletic department, and on head coach Brent Brennan, wondering if he's the right man for the job. But I'll tell you this, and I'll be clear. There's progress. They're very much so getting better. They're clearly getting better. It's night and day between last year and this year. They have the right coordinators in place. They have a very good offense coordinator and a stud defense coordinator. They have a great coaching staff. They have very talented recruits coming in for the 2026 recruiting class. They've developed the recruits that they brought and young guys that stayed after Jed Fish, and they hit home runs on every single one of their transfers this past offseason. Calm down. Take a deep breath. Take a sedative. Arizona will be fine. They'll be a bowl team. I know it's looking ugly right now, but they played two teams with a combined record of what is that? 13-1. Shit happens, man. Shit happens. Anyway, with Arizona in its bye week, we at Arizona Wildcats on SI have decided to roll out our all-quarter century team, breaking down position by position the guys that would be on that team, on that roster for Arizona. We've gone over the running backs, the two running backs, one starter, one backup. We've gone over tight ends, one starter, one backup. Well, actually, that's for later. Excuse me. We've gone over linebackers, 4 linebackers, 2 starters, 2 backups. Now we're rolling out with our offensive line. Now, for the line, I changed it up a little bit. Instead of having a starting tackle and a backup tackle and a backup guard, starting guard at every position, we just did a starting offensive line. Because offensive line stats are very hard to look at. It's very hard to judge unless you were there and not really seeing the accolades. It's very difficult to judge because what are offensive line stats? Holding penalties, how few you got, and pancakes, and how many sacks allowed. That's basically what you're basing it off of, but there's so much that goes into line play. Other than that's not a fair, medium to base everything off of. So we're rolling out with our starting offensive line unit. What would the starting line look like? And to be honest, from 2000 to 2025, Arizona's had a lot of good offensive linemen. They've had a lot of good players, offensive line, defensive line, but the bulk of Arizona's offensive line on our list comes from the Mike Stoops era. You talk about a coach that was able to build the program on the line and build the program on the defense line. There are studs in the trenches for Arizona. Guys that played in the NFL, guys that just recently retired from the NFL. There are absolute monsters up in the trenches for Arizona. So let's get to this offensive line. Our first one up, and we talk about tackles. Again, some of these are Jed guys too, is Jordan Morgan. We're going to put him at right tackle. Actually, we're going to put him at left tackle. I lied. We're going to put him at left tackle. Jordan Morgan, when you saw him at Marana High School, had the NFL frame, had the NFL size, didn't have the weight yet. He was about 265, 270. Gets to campus, has to endure the Kevin Sumlin era, and was completely mismanaged. It looks like he's a bust. Mind you, this is a prospect that USC really wanted and Arizona got. So in comes Jed, Coach Brennan Carroll, offensive line coach, develops him, adds weight. The fundamentals are a lot better, and boom, he turns into a back-to-back all-conference performer, has a torn ACL, doesn't matter, first-round draft pick, and is one of the best offensive linemen to ever come out of the state of Arizona. One of the better offensive linemen to ever come out of Tucson. He's very damn good. We have him as our starting left tackle. Now, on the right side, this guy was a left tackle, but played a little bit all over the line. They had a good right tackle, but you cannot include a list without this dude. He's our starting right tackle. And we get into the Stoops era. Stoops had to build the program from the ashes of the Makovic era all the way back up to bowl and respectability. And so we're talking about tackle Eben Britton. Eben Britton was a monster in Tucson. Started from his first year, all conference every single season, 2005 to 2008, was clearly the best left tackle and tackle in general in the Pac-10. There was nobody better than Eben Britton. I mean, consensus, all conference, all American honors, helped Arizona get back to a bowl game in the Vegas Bowl. He's clearly on this offensive line. Then we go back to the Jed Fish era and going at left guard. And honestly, you could put him anywhere on the offensive line, is Jonas Avenea, who, for my money, in all honesty, Jonas Avenea is the best offensive lineman I've ever seen at Arizona. The man was a monster. All conference performer, played right guard. I've seen him play left guard, played right tackle, and played left tackle for Brett Brennan. And he excelled at every single one of those. It's amazing how he was never an All-American. You're talking about a guy that was a 3-star recruit that went under the radar and just busted out on the scene. This guy was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best offensive linemen Arizona's ever had. He is on our starting offensive line. Then we move over to why is it doing that? We move over to the other guard position. This guy played tackle and guard. This is the Rich Rodriguez era, but it was hard to find another guard, and this guy was very good. Never really received the accolades that others got. He received PFF accolades, but not what he deserved, and that's Jason Alsdak. Very tremendous, sturdy offensive lineman, played in the NFL for a little bit. Very good offensive lineman there. And then the center spot. I went with in my opinion, a staple for Arizona's offensive line, going back to the Mike Stoops era. Him, Willie Tuitama, him, Nick Foles, getting to multiple bowl games. Highly successful era of the Mike Stoops era. Colin Baxter, number 64, played a little bit in the NFL, signed with the Chargers. Tremendous offensive lineman, really never received the accolades that he should have. And, he was able to have a very good career in Tucson, and he is our starting center for the Wildcats. That is our all quarter century starting offensive line. Please let us know what you think. Follow us on our website, Arizona Wildcats on SI. Follow me, Troy Hutchison, at THutch1995 on our Twitter, and we'll see you next time.